Hello everyone, welcome to another Pixelplayers discussion. That's right, we are rebooting the channel with new discussions coming, and we're really excited to get into the news here and talk a little bit about Nintendo. So, Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, how are you?
I am. How could I do any better? We're rebooting the channel. It's great. It's great stuff.
Yeah, that sucks.
All right, so Sam, what are we talking about today? What's the topic at hand?
So we're going to be discussing, the Nintendo NX and its titles that we're wanting in its first year, so its launch year. And, yeah, and how the Wii U didn't have that great of a lineup.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that it flopped. It didn't deliver what most people wanted, and I think that Nintendo is overlooking that and saying, oh, we got a rough start, so now no one's going to buy it no matter what. But the fact of the matter is, I feel like they're just not listening to their fans given the titles that have been coming out, and I think that's a large reason that they're in the state they are. Do you agree with that, or do you think it's something else?
I think a large reason is that they're not listening to fans and just providing these weird experiences. Like, they're trying to innovate instead of making just a concrete, fun game. Because, I like Star Fox Zero, but no one else likes that game. And I can understand why, because they went with a gimmick and just made a game about it, as opposed to just making a fun game that's just simple to play.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that Nintendo really needs to understand what the fans want instead of trying to be their own thing. Because at the end of the day, not only do they have huge competitors, with Microsoft and Sony, but they just need to understand that there's a difference between being creative and also being professional. I feel like the way they go about things just seems blatantly ignorant. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the Wii. They sacrificed any, what am I looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Advanced hardware. They ignored all of that just so they could provide this weird, gimmicky motion control. And that was odd in itself. And I think the NX is going to do that as well, because Nintendo keeps saying how they don't want people to steal their idea, because it's so different. I remember I saw on Twitter, there was this huge freak out when that happens. And I think that perfectly summarizes what Nintendo are doing, how they're just sacrificing what fans want just to make something weird and different.
I look at certain titles that they've been releasing, in the past year or two, and they just seem to not... do you think that they're reading the comments and seeing the negative feedback? A game that just released a trailer, Paper Mario Color Splash. We can get into that. But the dislikes are there. The trailer has negative reception, and people are clearly stating why they are not excited for this game. And Nintendo has all of this information at their fingertips, and they seem to be blatantly ignoring it. Why do you think they're doing this?
I think it's because they can't do better right now. I think they need to just provide simplified experiences because they can't do anything else. And I think I think they're saving all their huge projects for the NX. I think that every single major thing that was going to be on the Wii U has now been transferred over to the NX. And I think they're damage controlling as well. Look at Paper Mario Color Splash, like you just said, and how a few days ago they had to say outright, hey guys, Paper Mario Color Splash actually does have a story. It has a story, and it'll make you cry. I think that shows in itself that Nintendo are just, they're providing weird experiences, but then they're trying to make up for the fact that they're providing these odd, unsatisfactory...
Did they say that the story is going to make people cry?
Yeah, she said that. She said it will make people cry, and then there were all these jokes going, pretty obvious ones, but all these ones going, oh yeah, this made me cry.
Oh my god, it's, I mean, that's baffling. They're hearing all of the complaints about, having, what do you call them, the people that follow you around, the helpers. What do you call them?
The partners.
Yeah, partners, right. People want partners, people want a more open experience. They want the battle system to not be pointless. They don't want stickers. They want original characters that aren't Toads. They're not huge requests. It's more hi, can you follow Game 101 when you're making this? You know what I mean? It's not groundbreaking stuff that the fans want, and they just don't care. And this is a running theme with them. And I feel like if they don't, I feel like that's the number one thing they really have to get under control, is really hearing out fan input and implementing it in their titles for the NX.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the Wii U, though, I think that every single title that Nintendo released on the Wii U had some sort of flaw. Every single one. Like, Mario Kart 8 didn't have a proper battle mode. 3D World was 3D World. Like, there were like weird choices, like Amiibo Festival wasn't Animal Crossing. Can you name one? Like, even Mario Maker. Like, actually, I think Mario Maker might be the only finished title. Like, even Splatoon. It only had, 5 maps at launch? Every single title was flawed. Every single one of them. Like, can you name?
No,
yeah,
I think
other than
you're
Mario
definitely
Maker.
onto something there. I think that they intentionally were kind of in a production crisis because the Wii U was not doing well, and they really wanted to make sure that the games came out so that there's a flow of content, but at the same time, they really didn't they didn't do a good job with that, because it was a desert for games on the Wii U. It took months and months to get the first party title. Like, I remember specifically, I think in between like Tropical Freeze, like after that, it took half a year for a new game or something like that.
I don't think it was that drastic, but
maybe not.
That was 2014. There was a drought, but I don't think it was half a year. But that might just be because maybe you bought Tropical Freeze and then Smash Bros. I'm not sure. But there was a lack of games that year, certainly. But Mario Kart 8 came out that year in May. So
yeah. So I think
there
Mario
were
Kart 8
games.
was an absolutely fantastic game. I think Smash Brothers really hit it on the head. Mario Maker was a great idea, but when you really look back and think about games that were just super successful, smart releases that really followed through, there are very few and far in between. And I think that's a huge problem.
Yeah, well, I think it's also sad how we're living in an era now when games don't need to be finished when they're launched. Mm-hmm. So it makes developers less stressed, to provide a good experience at launch, because then they can go, oh, we'll just patch that out if people don't like it. Like with Mario Kart 8, they ended up adding DLC, and granted, that game wasn't, unfinished, but it's still, it shows that, they didn't have a battle mode, and why didn't they add that in the DLC as well? There's a lot of weird things that Nintendo did that I'm kind of confused about, I will say.
Yeah, absolutely. They even had the car thing in Mario Kart, where they were doing, what brand of car? Mercedes? They were driving around.
That was weird.
That was really weird. I'm not against it, by the way. I think that it was a very interesting move, but, I mean, it's just confusing. I feel like no one was asking for a Mercedes in the game. It was a fine little touch, but I don't know. I'm
not against it, but I'm not particularly for it either, honestly.
Yeah, I don't want to see, Metroid come out and Samus wearing, Nike sneakers running around. We don't need more promotional material in my games. Yeah, 100%. So, what's one thing about the Wii U, one concept that you think really needs to be improved for the NX in terms of just the overall console?
Well, I was going to say the gamepad, but I don't want that back at all for the NX. So for the NX, then, it would be the online infrastructure, I guess. I think Nintendo Network is terrible. So
absolutely, 100,000,000%. I think that they really need to get in touch with the way that, consoles like the Xbox and PlayStation are really following, the way they're following that, because it's just a very polished system for the most part. You can get all of your games. You can voice chat everybody. You can see your friends that are online, who's playing what. It's all very. It's just very detailed. It's well done, but it's not too detailed.
Even on PlayStation, there's this mode called Share Play where you can play local multiplayer games over the internet. And granted, I mean, it's a bit laggy and I can't really play it, but it's still there. I mean, it's there. It's an option. Yeah. And Nintendo, what's the most advanced thing they have? Miiverse? Even the webcam app on the Wii U, it doesn't really work sometimes. I've tried 20 times to FaceTime that with Justin Jetman, and it does not work.
You know what I think a good comparison would be? You know those fake Game Boys that people had as a kid, where you'd play educational games that were math games?
Leapfrog? Leapfrog?
Yeah, kind of yeah. It's comparing an iPad to that. It's I feel like that's a proper comparison. It's sad, I know. Maybe a little bit harsh, but I feel like it's...
Wait, you're saying store, Nintendo's the leapfrog?
It's like, do I want to go to the Apple Store or do I want to get a leapfrog? Like, well, the leapfrog,
geez.
you know, it's educational. I grew up with the leapfrog games. You know, maybe they'll make a leapfrog 2. You know, when you go to the iPad, you have this whole app store full of games. You could download any of them that you want. You could play online. Like, it's just it's much more polished. And I feel like Nintendo just has to jump on that bandwagon and make a more detailed, polished experience online. I feel like that should be their #1 priority going forward.
Yeah, I think it's terrible that there's no voice chat on Wii U.
Oh my
like, even
god.
The games that support it, like Smash Bros., it's only in the lobbies. What is that? That's so dumb.
I think what's really interesting about it is they're saying that it has nothing to do with the power of the console or internet or anything, but rather they don't want it to be family friendly. Do you buy that? Do you think that's really true?
No, not at all. I think that's a serious crock. Because, like, even, like, 3D World, that was their excuse as well for not having online play. I think it's just that they didn't want to have it. I think they were just like, oh, let's just not do it. I honestly don't think that there was any reason against it. They just didn't want to.
It's very disappointing. I think they need to grow. They need to grow up, and they have to realize their fan base is a little bit more grown up than 5 years old. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, even like Miyamoto recently has been like he's been complaining that people aren't really enjoying his games on Wii U, Pikmin 3 and Star Fox, and I think that's really dumb. Like that, he was like, "Oh, people are overlooking Pikmin 3 when I think it's the best multiplayer game to come out since Smash Bros." And it's like, I understand where you're coming from. It's pretty fun, Bingo Battle on Pikmin 3, but it doesn't have online, so it's no one but your own's fault that's overlooked, because most people, well, not most people, but a lot of people cannot play it with anyone, because no one cares about local.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there has to be a balance with the multiplayer aspects of the game and single player, and making sure that it's an accessible thing. You can see your friends are online, you know who's playing, who's not. It kind of all goes back to the same thing all the time. And it's not even... Maybe we're not putting enough emphasis on just the system in general, and we're talking about how Mario Kart didn't have voice chat, or Smash didn't have voice chat, but I think even if they did, they would still be very bare bones compared to other consoles anyway. You know?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
It's sad, and...
Isn't it weird how, like, even Animal Crossing on the Wii had voice chat? Isn't that strange?
I had no idea. That's sad.
Yeah, you had to get, like, an accessory for it, but you could do voice chat on Animal Crossing, City Folk. Or Let's Go to the City, wherever you're from. Like, yeah, I think that's odd. That's very strange in itself. And I think, can you in New Leaf?
I actually haven't played New Leaf, so I don't know.
I don't think you can. I think you can just type out messages. I think that's what that was.
Yeah, I think... You know, I don't know if they're actually going to be able to make that jump and really improve their online infrastructure, but I really hope they can, because that's going to be the difference, I think, between the success or not. I really do.
I don't think that's going to be success or not, but I think it is a huge factor. I think the games are first and foremost the biggest factor, and that's why the Wii U failed.
The only reason I think that it will be the factor is that if they're able to make that change and really make it a polished online experience for the first time really in Nintendo's history, if they do that, they're going to get a lot of buzz for being able to change, and people are going to be interested. If
that's
anything,
true.
It might not even be it directly, but rather like what the reputation of Nintendo would do, like what it would change for.
Well, I think the Wii U shows... It shows how Nintendo's seriously flawed in where they are right now. Because, like, even look at me, I used to be a Nintendo player my whole life, and because of the Wii U, I've branched out to Xbox and PlayStation. I would not have done that in any other generation. I had no interest, and that's really bad that I now jump ship to play PlayStation games, just because the Wii U doesn't have anything I want. Nintendo cannot be the only people developing for a platform and then take 5 months to release each title.
That's exactly the problem. It's not a consistent flow of games. You know, I went over to my friend's house the other day, and I'm not a huge third-party... Like, I've been a Nintendo fan for a long time, and I'm not a huge video game person outside of the Nintendo bubble, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always just been accessible to me. I know it. It's been good. But he turned on Rocket League, and I had an absolute blast with it. I thought it was awesome. I would play that every day if I could.
Yeah, it's a great game, especially
you can't
online.
Play
yeah,
that. You know, you can't get those games on Wii U.
Yeah, I don't know. And even like the games that Nintendo does make specifically for the Wii U, they're not like on the eShop at least. They're not like online experiences. Like they're all like Mario and Donkey Kong minis games. Like they're really odd games. Like there's obviously great games like Shovel Knight on there, but like games Nintendo specifically makes for the eShop are like little bite-sized random things, whereas on PlayStation you can get full experiences from like these $15 games.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. They, it all is going back to the whole polished internet mentality that they just really need to take it seriously and not treat it as a side thing, because it's the main course. It's not the appetizer anymore. They have to get that through their skulls, honestly.
Yeah, and well, like even the other ones, they're also entertainment systems. Like I use my Xbox and PlayStation all the time just to use Netflix. Mm-hmm. And that's a series... Like, the Wii U has Netflix, of course, but like, the Wii U doesn't have a lot of stuff that the others do. Like, PlayStation have like 14 apps to watch television on. You also have a Blu-ray player installed in it, and Nintendo doesn't have any of that. Mm-hmm. Like, even the YouTube player on the Wii U is terrible. Like, that... it's really severely flawed. Yeah. Like, I don't get me wrong, I love Nintendo. I'm sounding like I hate them right now, but like, it's just... The Wii U was a misstep, and I still enjoyed the Wii U. When I first got it, I was like, this could end up potentially being the best system of all time, but they squandered it. They missed their opportunity to make great games with it. Because they went for weird games over good games.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think their biggest successful game was Super Smash Bros. I think that game hit every beat right. Like, the marketing was really impressive. Everyone was so hyped for it. Everyone got that game the second it came out. They had the dual release, but they talked about it as if, oh yeah, it's coming out for 3DS, but the Wii U is the real version. And that got everyone really pumped. And I feel like they're taking a similar approach with Zelda now, too. Because they're doing like, oh yeah, it's coming out the Wii U, but the NX is the big one, And I feel like that works, because Zelda alone is just so impressive.
See, I don't think it works. I think that's actually the biggest problem with like why the Wii U failed, because the Wii U, you can get almost all of the same experiences on the 3DS. If you want to play 3D World, now just play 3D Land on the 3DS. If you want to play Smash Bros, you have the same roster on the 3DS. Like you can get like Mario Kart 8, or you got Mario Kart 7. Like there's similar things on the 3DS that you wouldn't need the Wii U for. Like, they tried to make the 3DS more of a console, and in doing so, rendered the Wii U partially pointless. Mm-hmm. Like, why would you need to get a Wii U to get Color Splash when you can just go and play Sticker Star? Like, granted, I don't want to play either of them, but it's funny how you can just play a similar game on both consoles. Like, there's obviously unique ones. I would say there's more unique games for the 3DS than there are Wii U, but it's still odd. Like, I don't know, I think it's still strange how most major experiences on the Wii U you can get for the 3DS.
Yeah, they really didn't try to be anything that great. They really were just like, oh yeah, it's a better version of what's already here, Yeah,
I think that's the biggest problem. They were all sequels. Like, the only major game was like Splatoon.
Splatoon and Mario Maker were absolutely phenomenal releases. I think that they were the most inventive titles on the console, and really were like the biggest takeaways, because those franchises are going to be prevalent in future consoles, whereas, other games just won't. They were just, oh, it's another title, woohoo,
Mario Party 10.
Oh, yeah, and, that goes back to what we were talking about before, which is they're just not listening to their fans, and they're going, oh, yeah, everyone hates the cars, so let's put them all in a car again.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, no, we've got rid of the car for Amiibo Party. Like, it's, they did, they kind of messed up there.
But I wonder about it, because I feel like this isn't talked about enough. People there are being paid so much money to work there, look at the media, find out what people want to do, and they have to have like some mentality of, we want to impress these fans. And are they just that dumb, or do they just don't care? It has to be one of the two. They have to see what's happening.
I have no idea how they are collectively so dumb. I don't see how there's not someone going, Chibi Robo Ziplash is actually the worst idea I've ever heard. I don't see why someone doesn't just speak up. Why doesn't someone, like, look at Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival and just delete the file? Like, I don't see why people think that those games are okay.
I absolutely agree. It just seems like you look at it, and it's so obviously the worst idea they've ever come up with, but they don't see it. They're hype as hell for this. They're like, yeah, look at all these amiibos coming out, Holiday 20... Like, this is my big holiday game.
Yeah.
That was a big holiday title. That and Mario Tennis.
Mario Tennis.
I mean, we can get into that, like, later, I suppose, but it's just... I'll go down the line of what we covered. The Wii U had a really flawed internet system. It didn't live up to Microsoft and Sony. No one had a reason to buy it for that because the online experience was so awful. All of the games, for the most part, were not inventive. They were all sequels or just weird experiences nobody wanted, except for a few minor exceptions. And I think, yeah, and the marketing for the Wii U was absolutely atrocious. Like, even the name alone, I think, costed them millions of consoles sold. But
oh, it definitely did. Why didn't they just call it the Wii 2?
Or how about they just don't call it the Wii anything? Like they could call it the Nintendo Trash Can, and it'll probably do better. Honestly,
I think it's odd how the 3DS did well, though, because the 3DS is even... Actually, no, I think the Wii U is a
No, the 3DS is different, because it's like, the 3D mechanic is very intriguing.
Yeah, with the Wii U, you're like, what is this?
Wii U, more like P-U. Like, that was everyone's
awful. Reaction. The name was terrible. I remember when everyone heard it, they were like, this is just shocking. What an awful name. I remember there was like, there were rumors and stuff that it was going to be called like Wii Feel and stuff. Like, I was like, that's awful. But when the Wii U happened, I was like, God. Couldn't have made this worse. Just make it the Nintendo Boombox. There you go.
Nintendo Boombox. So, okay. Our original discussion topic was NX launch titles. We definitely strayed away from that topic, but I think that's okay because we analyzed the Wii U, why we believe it failed, what they need to do to make the NX a better console. So given that information, we can briefly go through what games do you think Nintendo really needs to drop to make them heard and to make them come across as a power player.
Okay, so basically Adam and I had a list, like we have lists of ones we think will each happen, but we also have one that we put for both, just because we know these are definitely going to happen. So we put Pikmin 4, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 9, and Animal Crossing NX. Those are all definites. I think Animal Crossing is going to be relatively soon. I want to imagine that company made Amiibo Festival for a reason, and not just because they thought it was a good idea.
It could very well be they knew they were making Animal Crossing NX, they were starting development and went, oh shoot, we have literally no holiday titles. Here, do you have any of the assets? Can we make like Mario? Hey, we just finished Mario Party. Can we use like a board? Yeah, man, whatever. Here you go. Here's Isabelle. Here, just I don't care.
Yeah, and then without the mini games. But like so
it's Mario Party without the mini games. With Animal Crossing characters that are less recognizable and have less of a fan base.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. But anyway, let's not make this a Amiibo Festival rant.
We keep running away from the finish line here, for sure.
So yeah, Pikmin 4, I mean, Miyamoto's spoken about it. Last year he was like, yeah, it's nearly done, and then recently he's gone, it's no longer a priority, which is very odd. I think it's happening in the first year, I just think that's very odd. I think it's weird, because, I mean, the NX launches next March, right? So I think it's going to be like a May title, that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah. And Pikmin 4 it's not going to be the game they drop that's going to get the console sold. Like, it's a good game, I'm sure it's going to be visually gorgeous. Pikmin tends to be, like, really great in terms of graphics, usually.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great title to have. Pikmin has a fan base that's going to be invested. It's not going to be the big game that we're looking for, though.
Yeah, it's not going to be the big game, but I think it will be a good... I really want it to be a launch title, because I want Pikmin to do well, because I want a Pikmin 5, because I love this series. I'm hoping it's about Olimar again, as opposed to Alf, Brittany, and Charlie, but like, I don't know, I hope it's a good game. I hope it's actually fun and not some weird, gimmicky, strange Pikmin hybrid clone thing. Because you don't know anymore. You really don't know.
You really don't. They can come
Nintendo's
out
making a new product
and be like, "Oh yeah, we're making Captain Olimar Color Splash yarn. It's the biggest title of the season." And you have Olimar going around with a paint gun, and then you see like all the world is made out of wool, and they're like, "Look, we had so many assets. Like we just had to whip something up here."
I will actually say a Pikmin game made with the wool like aesthetic that would actually look really nice.
Yeah, we need a third game. We need a third wool game, Nintendo. Can you get on
I think
that?
it's gonna happen. I think that's a series, the wool titles.
No.
Kirby was far more ambitious though because it was like a different gameplay style.
For the gameplay. Yoshi's Woolly World.
Epic Yarn did.
Yeah, Epic Yarn did. I think Epic Yarn was a great title. Yoshi's Woolly World was Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, it was. It was just Yoshi's Island,
with a cool
but
little
trying
wool.
to hide it.
I mean, it got reviews. Like, it was fine. It did what Yoshi Island normally does, but it's just they didn't care enough to really sell us with that game.
Yeah, they were just kind of like, here it is, and then 2 years later they went, oh yeah, here it is again.
Yeah, the marketing was probably the worst I've seen out of any of their titles, because they were like...
Well, because they changed the game.
Yeah, they did, but, you know, with Zelda, I think what they did was really important, because they said, they really enunciated, like, we noticed a fundamental problem in the game that we want to address to make it the best experience possible. You know, their art is just gorgeous, they're very careful about what they say with the game. Whereas Yoshi's Woolly World, they just announced it, didn't say anything, and then we're like, oh, here it is, look at it. And then they released it, and...
What was Zelda's, though? Like, we'll move on to Zelda now from Pikmin. What was Zelda? Because, like, they said they had to delay it to work on, like, a fundamental thing. Was that the physics engine? Was that?
I don't know if that was ever revealed, but it looked very similar to what it was at Game Awards. Like, it had the same aesthetic, it had that same open world mechanic.
Oh, I totally disagree.
You think that it's a fundamentally different game?
I think it looks totally different because like in the original it looked like Twilight Princess but in like this massive field, whereas now it looks more like an Uncharted game.
See, no, I totally didn't get that vibe. I thought that when it was announced with that trailer, you know, where Link jumps off with that crazy futuristic bow, and you know, everyone was like, "Is that Zelda? That might not even be Link." Like, do you remember all that?
Oh yeah, in like the E3 trailer, it reminds me of what the E3 trailer showed. It doesn't remind me of what the Game Awards gameplay showed.
Oh, okay. Alright, yeah. Because I thought Game Awards came after the E3 trailer.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, okay.
But like the gameplay, it was like just... It was the back view of him like riding around on Epona in like a field that had nothing in it.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think it was hard to tell because it was like a really low quality... Like, it was showing someone playing it on a TV, right?
Yeah. And well, like, it looked like it was, it looked like it was just a normal Zelda game. It looked like it was a new Zelda, whereas now it looks like a 3D platformer puzzle game.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I think it looks so cool. I think it's weird how exciting the idea of Link jumping is, but, like, I don't know. It looks totally different.
I'm absolutely sold.
Oh, so I think it's gonna be the best game, like maybe ever made. I'm going into that with open arms, and I hope I'm not leaving like I did with 3D World, going, oh, what was that?
Oh my god!
I don't think I'm going to.
Well, we can talk about 3D World in another podcast, but I think that Zelda Breath of the Wild has sold a lot of people. And that's going to be their huge card, because it is an inventive Zelda title. It's an open world, visually massively appealing game that looks gorgeous, that's going to rope in a lot of new fans. And I think if they can really sell it off and cap it off with that idea of, oh yeah, here's the Wii U version, here's the NX version. If they do that, it could be overwhelmingly successful.
Well, like, did the trailer impress you when you first saw the trailer in like the live stream?
E3 or for...
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
which E3? Which E3?
The recent one.
Oh, yeah, that blew me away. It absolutely blew me away. I thought that it looked
The
gorgeous.
trailer didn't sell it for me.
Really?
I was like, oh, okay, it looks good. But then when I saw gameplay, I was like, yeah, okay, now I'm on board. I don't know what it was. It was just, the trailer looked... It looked too Xenoblade-ish, like, just... for my taste, but then when I saw gameplay, I was like, this looks fantastic. I'm really happy about this.
Yeah, the gameplay definitely sold me too. Because the trailer didn't explain a lot about the game, but it showed how beautiful the world was and how open it was, and it kind of, talked about or touched on some of the mechanics, but the gameplay really sold on them. You saw cooking.
I will say,
and...
Breath of the Wild it's not a nice name in my opinion. I don't like the name.
I think it's very artsy. It's
Yeah.
a very artsy name. Like, they could have went for, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, but I'm not gonna come up with a really dumb Zelda name, but I'm just gonna say, like, Breath of the Wild was a bold move, I think, for them. It kind of said, like, it's kind of dangerous in the Nintendo because them, making decisions that differ from the public opinion can be usually seen as bad because they're just so blatantly ignorant. But, with this, it seemed like an artistic choice that really represented the game, just the naturalistic feel of it. I thought it worked really well.
Yeah, I agree. Like, what was it? What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I think it's weird how every other Zelda game is named after, like, a gameplay mechanic, whereas that one was named just after the world itself. And it's an interesting choice. I thought it was... I would have preferred if it was something to do with the book that Link has instead. That's just me, though.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. It's hard to match up to, like, names like the Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, like, really iconic, great names.
Like, Ocarina of Time is just
that
a
too.
cool name.
God, yeah. Everyone knows those names. They're so well-known and iconic, and really... It's hard to match up to that, but I think that Breath of the Wild still works. But... it's going... I think it's going to be their big card going into the NX launch. And I think they know that, and that's why they're really going out of their way to sell us on it so early in advance, where they're being really secretive on all their other projects. Pikmin 4 we know a little bit about, so why don't we jump into, titles that aren't at all announced. We talked about, we mentioned Animal Crossing 2 before, and going back onto that, like, if they take advantage of the whole, internet thing that we were saying before, if they really take advantage of that, an Animal Crossing game would thrive in that environment of, we're all connected, here's my village, why don't you come over to my village? Get on a plane and fly over to my island,
Well, actually, Animal Crossing does do that already.
So, you mean on New Leaf?
Yeah, you can go to each other's worlds and you can run around and stuff, and you can, like, go to the island area and stuff together.
Right. There definitely is, like, internet multiplayer involved in Animal Crossing, but, like, imagine, just, like, a grander scale. If it was, like, you knew when your friends were online, you could call them online and say, hey, want to jump over to my island? You don't have to call them on the phone. You don't have to Skype them. It's all just one experience. Maybe Xbox notifies you when a friend logs in. Maybe at least have that setting.
That's something that needs to be on the NX, because I love that. I love knowing when my friends are online. Like, at least there should be, like, a best friends features.
I don't play games alone. I know that I might be in the minority there, but a lot of people just play games with friends and don't play alone.
I do occasionally. Like, I've recently been playing Mega Man, like the original classic ones, and
Right.
Basically, I just, whenever I'm playing single player games, I usually do it when I'm doing something else. Mm-hmm. So if I'm, like, watching a TV show, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll just play a game in the background. Like, that's usually how I do it. I would never just sit on my couch and play a game by myself and that's it. Unless it's Uncharted. Because Uncharted it's like a movie, so it's okay to do that.
Very cinematic game. But then again, you're not going to get that experience on the Wii U, are you?
Well, no, unless Zelda U does something really weird. But, like, unless Breath of the Wild becomes a totally different game. But, like, yeah, that's very true. Like, no one's gonna... Well, actually, saying no one is wrong because people do it. But, like, I think it's odd how... Not even odd, what am I saying? I would never play 3D World by myself, just sitting in the room. And like, with doing nothing. I would not just sit in the room listening to the music, jazzing out and playing Mario 3D World. It's just not something I want to do. Like, well, if I really want to play I'll do something else.
3D World now, because, I mean, obviously you see it as a massive disappointment. I don't agree. We can get into that in another podcast. But 3D Mario, a huge wild card, could be the difference between this console succeeding and failing. Honestly,
It needs to be a Sunshine sequel. Needs to be.
Oh no! Don't say that, dude.
Needs
Come on.
to. I'm not
No.
saying. I'm not saying the flood mechanic. That doesn't need to come back. I enjoyed that. Doesn't need to come back. They just need to make big, expansive Mario worlds to explore with fun, creative environments. Because something I love about Sunshine,
Thank you. Yeah.
it's so different. It's so different, and like it or not, it's something you can't get with any other Mario game. Going around
What
Delfino
about
Plaza.
Galaxy? Do you not consider Galaxy to be, inventive and different for the series?
Oh, no, I'm meaning, like, Sunshine provides environments you wouldn't find elsewhere. But, like, yeah, Galaxy does that too, yeah, of course. And so does 64. But,
yeah.
I think Sunshine was just so interesting in the fact that it just threw you into a world and went, you can go all these different ways, have fun. And you could just explore this gigantic world. Because, like, some of them were smaller, like Rico Harbor was a small stage. But then look at, like, what is it, what was the name of it? It was the Bay level? Do you know what I'm talking about? The Shell one? Like
But I haven't played that game in such a long time.
It's slipping my mind right now. I usually have
I
it.
don't remember
I
either.
want to say, no, that's a Zelda name. Anyway, that is a great level nonetheless, and it's giant. It's gigantic. And, like, that's what I want. I want big, giant 3D Mario worlds to explore and collect stars again. I want to run around and talk to characters that go, help, get that thing at the top of there for me and I'll give you a shine. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that
no,
so
absolutely.
much.
I don't really... I mean, a world map maybe, but, like, I'd rather just that open
No.
world Mario experience where...
Do not give me do not give me a map. Do not. I hate that so... Like, that was the worst part of Galaxy 2 for me. I hated that.
Yeah, I'd rather it not have that, honestly. No, I definitely agree. It could be a more expansive experience. I think that they need to go back to their roots with Mario 64. Make a 3D Mario game that has a multiplayer mode to some capacity.
Yeah, like Mario 64 DS was originally going to be. How it was... Like, its original concept was literally Mario 64, except you could all run around independently through all the levels. Like, it couldn't happen because of hardware, obviously, but... Can you imagine? Like, that could happen on like, the Wii U, so if it could happen on the
100%.
NX, that'd be
You could even
amazing.
do, once you stray away, either you do the bubble thing, like in 3D World, or it reverts to split screen at a certain point.
Well, if it's online, you wouldn't need to do that at all. It'd just be, it follows you.
Oh my
So, like,
god, and that's exactly what it is. 3D Mario online would be huge. It would be...
yeah.
It's exactly what the series needs.
But, like, even imagine this, though. Like, imagine you and I could play a game like Mario 64 together, and then you were like, I'm just gonna go tackle this level in Bomb on Battlefield, and I was like, alright, I'm gonna go to the Bowser level. Like, can you... Imagine how that would be. That would be amazing. Just running
and then
around
we could
and
work
then...
together to complete the game.
Yeah, you could work together and do the same mission, or you could work separately and do different ones. That'd be awesome. Can you imagine
and then
running
it becomes
around and
like
helping...
a group collaborative effort.
Yeah, like, imagine... Like, even just searching for red coins around a map with your friends would be so much fun.
Oh my god, that would be awesome.
Yeah, there's so much there. Like, in 64 and Sunshine specifically, Galaxy has... It's a great game, but it's very linear, and it's very... It's very path-heavy. 64 and Sunshine are perfect in the regards of 3D platformers, I think.
No,
like,
I
even
would
in a
agree
way
for
that
sure.
Banjo-Kazooie didn't match. Like, I think that they provide just such an awesome world. Like, Banjo-Kazooie, don't get me wrong, I love that game, but, like, 64 and Sunshine just had this, like, weird personality to it that I just adore, and I want that back for Mario, because 3D World had none of that. 3D World was, here's a grass block that I put in, and I just put a bunch of them to the flag. That's what it feels like you're playing a level, as opposed to playing in a world.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And, I think that, for me, I'm sorry, not Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy was the best 3D Mario game. But that being said, I don't want a Galaxy-type game in terms of the linear aspect. I would like... Here's what I want. And I think that if they do this, they'll be in absolute great shape. I think it'll be a huge success. I think they need, and I think you'll agree with me, a 3D Mario title with really good local and online multiplayer capabilities that has an open world formula similar to 64 and Sunshine.
Yeah.
That doesn't use just toads. Too. They need to have unique characters and settings. If they do that, they're in amazing shape. As long as they don't take it too far.
How embarrassing would that be? if like 64 had like the penguin and like the penguins and the Koopa Troopers and stuff that you can interact with, and then the new one just had toads in the world.
Oh my god.
That'd be so sad.
But that's the thing, we laugh about it like, ha ha ha, wouldn't that be dumb? But then Paper Mario Color Splash comes out, and they're the only character there. It's not a stretch. It's really not. They could go ahead and make this happen.
I remember I was like reading this guy's Twitter page, and it was like there was like this footage of Color Splash, and it was like a toad in like sunglasses, and the guy was like, "Oh wow, a toad with an original design," and then he was like, "Hello, I am Toad number 4," and then he wrote, "Never mind." That was like that just perfectly summarizes how I feel about that game, because nothing, there's no specific original character. They're either in groups or they're just nothing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think that... I don't know why they're doing that. Is it just a lack of creativity, or do you think they're scared to make a bad move?
Well, no, because... Well, I don't know, right? Because I would say yes, that they are scared to make a bad move, but I think that's clearly not demonstrated by how they just do not care about what people want.
That's very true, too.
Because if that were the case, they would not have made the controls of Star Fox Zero the way they were. Like, that would just not have happened. But it happened. Like, they would have listened to fans and gone, "Oh, actually, let's not do that because 99% of our audience says they hate it." But instead, they were like, "No, wait till it's not a demo and play the full game and then you'll like it." And then it came out, and everyone still hated it. Like, it's so dumb. They purposely disregard what fans are saying. And even with Color Splash, people like, "Give us a proper story," and then they're going, "Oh, but this one will make you cry." I don't care. I don't care if this one's gonna make me cry. It's not a proper story. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then an interviewer comes up. I forget who did this interview. It might have been Game Explain. Amazing guys, by the way. But anyway,
yeah.
They say, people are complaining a lot about how Paper Mario is kind of losing what it used to be. Can you talk a little bit about that? And they're like, "Oh, now that Mario and Luigi is the definitive Mario RPG, series, Paper Mario has to be its own thing." That threw me for a huge loop.
I hate that, because Mario and Luigi's, they're fun games, but they are trash compared to Paper Mario, like Thousand Year Door.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're trash. I think it's comparing two things that aren't the same. They are on the surface
okay, that's fair.
Two
Yeah,
Mario
because
RPGs, but just the tone and how the games are is very different, I feel like.
Yeah, but
and one's a mobile
of course.
game too. One's 3DS, Wii U, and one's a console title.
Wait, because Mario and Luigi, that franchise is based around, oh look, goofy worlds, whereas Paper Mario tackled like more serious themes, despite its goofy environments. And I thought that was so cool. And you're actually right. Yeah, saying Mario and Luigi is trash compared to Paper Mario is wrong, because I do love Mario and Luigi games. It's just that if someone were to say, hey, either have Mario and Luigi Partners in Time or Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, I would not question that. I would say, Thousand Year Door, thank you, goodbye. Like, there would be no argument. And I think that's the case with most people. I don't think, if Nintendo said, hey, do you want Mario and Luigi to become like a weird franchise of gimmicks and Paper Mario go back to RPGs, I think that would happen. I think it would happen instantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I think people care more about it.
I do agree with that. I think that what they really needed for the Wii U, I mean, I think at this point they just don't care because they're moving on to bigger and better things in their minds. So they're not going to put their best foot forward with Paper Mario. But if it were an NX title, I think it would be taken in a different direction than they are now. Because they kind of have to. Like, if they piss people off out of the gate, it's going to ruin them, and they know that. I guess that's why it's not an NX title, because they easily could just move it over. But so we've covered, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Pikmin 4, a new expansive 3D Mario game with original worlds that has great multiplayer. It's a lot on
Animal
paper.
Crossing.
And Animal Crossing, right.
Let's just quickly talk about this. Mario Kart 9, it's gonna happen. The end.
Yeah, every Mario Kart game has had, on average, like a 2 to 3 year gap. Mario Kart 8 came out 2 years ago, so it's not crazy to think that they're going to make one for the NX's launch. I don't know if it's going to be a launch title. Maybe it might be a year later, but I'm sure that they're thinking about it.
I think it's going to be... I'm not going to say right out of the gate, but it will be in the launch year, I think. I think we're getting it next year.
Okay, I don't think we will, but it's definitely a possibility. I think that the DLC ran for so long that it's still so fresh in people's minds, and I don't know if that is the right move, but it's not a bad move. Like, Mario Kart is Mario Kart. It's gonna sell,
Isn't all the DLC, like, over a year old now, at least?
Yeah, but, no, you're definitely right. It's over a year old, but it, I don't know. I think it's... Hopefully they're not doing too much too soon. I don't think that they're focusing on Mario Kart right this second. I really do think that they're thinking about 3D Mario a lot right now. I just hope they do what we hope they're going to do. If they don't, if they do 3D Universe or something.
Oh my god.
I don't even know. What
if they show Super Mario 3D Continent or something, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, I will actually go insane. Because that would just be the worst decision they could make. Like, I would much rather just them not make a 3D Mario title at all, and then just delay it until they can get it right and just release new Super Mario Bros. Games in the meantime.
I honestly agree with you. I don't
Actually, let's talk about that for a sec. But anyway, just real quick. Okay, I hope Mario Kart 9 has a proper battle mode, and I know it's going to be great because all the others are, and I hope they bring back the double dash mechanic. Anyway, new Super Mario Bros. NX. Do you think it's going to happen?
I don't. No. I think that the series is a guaranteed success for them, like it will sell. But I think they also know that they are really dragging this very thin. I don't know if they're going to continue to do that. I think that they're going to focus on games that people are really clamoring for over Mario U. But I'm sorry, Mario NX. But I could be wrong.
Here's how I think about it. I'm thinking if 3D Mario is in the launch year, then New Super Mario Bros. Won't be. But if 3D Mario isn't, then New Super Mario Bros. Will be.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assumption. I think, if I'm not wrong, they had a New Super Mario Bros. Launch with the Wii U. So
yeah.
They have shown that it's a move that they're going to make. But I don't know if they're going to repeat that, but it's definitely a possibility. But that's not a game that's really going to sell them. It will sell, but like the Wii U, like it did sell. It might be the highest selling game on the console. I don't know. But
yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. So it is, like, good for them, but it obviously didn't work in the long run because it didn't do very well out of the gate.
Well, that's
Getting
the thing,
out
though.
of the gate running is important.
With 3DS, and, like, that had an awful launch because it had nothing. Like, you bought a 3DS at launch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh, wait, no, I didn't.
Oh, wait, no, you didn't. Yeah, I actually remember you getting it much later. But, like, when, at launch, they had nothing. I remember picking up Rayman 3D and Super Monkey Ball 3D, because that was, like, all they had.
Wow.
And, the first Mario game didn't come out till November that year, which was 3D Land. And it was March, so it was obviously a long gap before we got anything. Like, Zelda was in, like, October. So, Nintendo's launch for 3DS sucked, and there was nothing. Whereas with the Wii U, the launch was good, but the rest of the console didn't do well. The Wii U out of the gate did pretty well. And I think I think you can thank Mario for that. I think Mario U was the reason.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. I do agree with you on that assessment. It's a tricky thing because it's guaranteed to get them very short-term success with Mario, with a new Super Mario Brothers game. But I think it's very detrimental to them in the long run. I don't know if they know that though. So we could see it either way. I don't think that it really matters as long as that's not their big game. If that's like a side thing or like a nice little compliment to their already amazing lineup, it can only do good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be there. I think it's just going to happen. And I'm okay with that because I actually love the new Super Mario Brothers games. But
yeah, I love them too. I really do.
Yeah, so they're just fun games to 100%, I think. That's just how I feel about them. But, if there is a Mario game, like a Super Mario title at launch, and this is from your list, I'm hoping it's Luigi's Mansion 3. That's what I'm really wanting.
That would be phenomenal. It did sell very well. Yeah, I would love. It sold very well on the 3DS, bringing it back on the Wii U with highly advanced visuals, having that really. I think Luigi's Mansion did a great job at really feeling like an open world. I think the world map, like the lab, cutscenes did take a little bit away from that, but it was a step in the right direction, and the tone of the game was really spot on. It was a little less creepy. It was a good balance between creepy and lighthearted. I think it was a really good step for Luigi's Mansion, and the success only proves that it could do well on Wii U too.
Yeah, it did really well, which is great. Like,
Yeah.
I think the first game is better. I prefer Luigi's Mansion to Luigi's Mansion 2, but
Okay.
I think Luigi's Mansion 2 is a great game nonetheless. I think it's still like a solid like 8 out of 10 game. And I don't care about review scores. I'm just saying, but like,
Yeah, no,
think,
I definitely hear you.
yeah, I think it is a great game. If they make a Wii U one, or not a Wii U, NX, sorry, I'm hoping that it is darker and spookier again, because I understand why they made the 3DS one more lighthearted, because how are they gonna make that like an eerie environment on your handheld? Like, it's not gonna be as immersive, if anything. But like, if it's on the console, I'm wanting to like sit in the dark and, you know, it to scare me. Because I remember, I mean, it might just be because I was younger at the time, but Luigi's Mansion freaked me out. Like, I remember there's a blackout scene. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree
Yeah,
with you. It freaked
that
me
was
out too at
horrifying.
certain points. But
Like,
I was younger.
The blackout
too,
was
so.
scary.
Yeah.
Like,
It
the
had a
blackout
great tone.
frightened me. It's great. Yeah, and that's what I want. I want the game to surprise me and scare me.
Even Luigi's like character model in the game was a little weird. Like, it didn't look like it was from Mario, or at least like what it usually looks like. And it had a very like eerie, creepy tone to it. Very different than what we normally see. I don't think they're going to go back to that, to be honest. I think they're going to stick to what they've been doing with Mansion 2. But I don't think that's an awful thing. I think there's a good chance it could be a launch title. It's a 50-50 for me.
The thing I thought that was better about Dark Moon than the first one was that this Dark Moon had much better puzzles than the first one did. Because like the first one, I remember one of the puzzles was just like there's like this little mirror in a room, and you have to walk in front of the mirror and then position yourself and then just press a button that you can't see because you can only see it in the mirror. And that was just such a boring puzzle, and I was like, this sucks. But like because I also got stuck in that room for ages. I didn't know where it was, and then when I found it, I was like, that was just such a boring thing to do. Like, that wasn't fun. But then like with Dark Moon, the puzzles, like the bosses specifically, some of them were a bit boring. But like, the spider boss, I remember being really, really fun to verse.
Yeah, that was really cool. I agree. And I
liked the art style as well.
Yeah, the art style was great. It expanded, I think, just the capabilities. You're like, oh, he just has like a vacuum, but they do so much with the concept. You know, you could blow up balloons, fly around. They just do different things, and that's what a sequel is supposed to do. You know, it's really supposed to expand and build on the previous game. I think Dark Moon, you know, for a 3DS game, surpassed that enormously. I think that is a huge reason why it's so successful. And
I will say that if they make a third one, I want it to be a big mansion again. I don't want it to be world map mission based.
I agree with you, yeah.
Like, they can do multiple mansions. If they do, I want it to be like you walk out the door of one and then you walk a path to another. I think that would be cool.
Or they might have like teleporter pads where you could go between them.
Yeah, something like that. Like,
We don't need a map though.
Yeah, a world map just ruins. I don't know. A world map makes it seem more like a game than an experience. I know saying an experience is annoying
it's
or whatever.
It's great for like DS games.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Sticker Star worked so well on the 3DS, but Color Splash works terribly on the Wii U. Like, it's a world map works in smaller bite-sized experiences, but you cannot chuck that in a console experience. That's why I don't like 3D World. I want places I can explore, because that's why I play console games.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Wow. So this podcast is running very long. We're nearing the hour mark, so we should definitely try to wrap this up. We have talked a lot about launch titles, and you know, what did we go through? We went through today why we thought the Wii U failed, what they need to really improve on with the NX's launch, and what the NX launch's library will probably look like, at least in our eyes, given what we know. I feel like we talked about a lot. We covered a lot of interesting topics. Yeah, Sam, any closing words you wanna talk about, or any last thing?
I think they need. This is just the last point we had. I think third party needs to be emphasized as well.
Oh my God,
we were saying earlier that there was a lack of games on the Wii U, and I think that's because of lack of third party. If you didn't have a Nintendo game, you didn't have a game, and I think to do that they need to get a powerful system, and they need to get big like, the big guns on it. They need to get Call of Duty. They need to get Assassin's Creed. And, like, there's the new Sonic game being announced next week, and I hope that is announced to come to the NX. Because that would be great. That would be fantastic. So I really hope, Nintendo steps up with third-party support. And it's not even their fault, particularly. Actually, it kind of is, because they're not making advanced hardware. But, like, they do need to make more deals with those companies, because it worked out really well for Platinum. It didn't for Sega, because for some reason they licensed, weird games like Boom! Rise of Lyric. But they had the right idea, and they had, like, the right idea with getting Ubisoft to make Zombie U and stuff like that. So they need to have that, but just make sure that it's a lifelong experience and not something that's there in the launch year and then not there anymore.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that along with the hardware and making sure that the console is up to date with the standards so that people can just port it over without a lot of problems.
Yeah.
That being said, if they go out of the gate with a really bad lineup and the console just doesn't get out of the gate and doesn't have that install base, people aren't going to want to pay money to port it over at all. So that's why it's so important for them to get that good start with good games that people want, which goes back to have a good online experience and listen to your fans when you're making your games. Don't make Color Splash. Don't say that Mario and Luigi replaced Paper Mario as the RPG. People don't want to hear this. People don't want to... It's like, it's so blatantly disregarding so many fans.
Can you imagine if, like, Toy Story 4 was cancelled and they were like, well, Cars 3 is the franchise we want to make with countless sequels.
By the way, that's not a bad analogy. It's true. It's like, yeah, it's exactly what it is, essentially. It's awful, and they just really need to take these points into account. I don't know if they will, but I have confidence that in the long run they'll at least take a lot of these ideas if they end up being successful.
Well, I mean, the NX is the start of the new president's leadership. Like, and he's made good decisions with the mobile, like, and Iwata did start this, obviously, but, like, with the mobile department excelling right now, and now the theme parks coming out, which apparently is going to be, like, one of the biggest, not like the biggest, but, like, it's even good, it's the Mario Land theme park area in Universal Studios is going to be bigger than the Harry Potter land, which is apparently already massive. Yeah, so that's great.
Crazy.
And not to mention they're getting into films. They're really trying to spread themselves. So I think that they're going to go full out with the NX. Yeah, I think it's exciting times. I love getting new consoles. I think it's always fun. I just hope there's some fun games to play on it.
Absolutely. And I'm very excited to see what's in store. I really hope it goes well. And guys, thank you so much for watching our podcast. Yeah, we really appreciate it. We are trying to reboot Pixelplayers and really make it a channel bringing Nintendo news to you and other media. We're going to branch out. Type in the comments what you thought of our podcast. And if you really liked it, please like the video and subscribe to our channel for more stuff. We really appreciate it. And yeah, stay tuned for more videos.